This is Madam Speaker, and our question is, can we exorcise racism from South Africa? I'm going to get closing statements from all of our guests this evening. And, you know, one of my sincere hopes is that even though this has been such a short program and so much has been said, that somehow there's a glimpse of mutual recognition in what we are saying to each other, because therein lies the potential for us to get out from under what this means for us and the bone-crushing intensity of what it means for our lived existence in South Africa. So, can we achieve it, and how, Busisiwe, can we achieve a society that is free of racism? Is it possible?
Yes, it's possible. We will acknowledge the past, the history, look at the wrongs that we've now carried over, so the after effects of apartheid, and try working on leveling the playing field for all in South Africa. And I think moving from there, we can then have our mass movements. We can try and build a green peace for racism.
Melissa?
I think if we're thinking about the longer arc of history, I think then definitely that is where we will go. Because I think that the conditions that led to the possibilities for racism to be constructed in the first place, to be perpetuated, to be, reinforced, I think those conditions have shifted. I think that with each one of these incidents that happens, that sort of shakes us, what is actually happening is that the people who continue to identify in that way with whiteness, with racism, are making themselves more irrelevant each time. I think that we are seeing how the nation is strengthening itself in the movement towards an anti-racist way of thinking about our society.
Gabriel?
So I think we will.
Sure. Great, thank you. I just want to recap on the story about China. They got over the foot binding thing in one generation.
Are you saying we should get over racism in South Africa?
What I mean by that is it became a norm. The norm went from you should do that, and if you don't do that, you don't fit into our society, to the norm being you don't do that if you want to fit into our society. And I think we can shift the norm of racism so that if you're a racist, you don't fit into our society within a generation. Yeah. And China did another thing.
But hold on, before you go into China, do you agree that it is more than just a declaration of not being racist, but it takes structural change?
No, so it's a heavy mindset, and I think structural often just means economic upliftment, and that's the other thing that China did. Deng Xiaoping came into China and dismantled communism within the Communist Party, solidified property rights, made China the biggest good news story in terms of lifting people out of poverty in the history of mankind by being market-friendly.
And labour rights and human rights might have a little angle to add to that in terms of what the cost of that has been. Subject for another day. Loveland.
So I want to be clear. I think I definitely want to live in a non-racialized South Africa. I do. I don't think that black people or white people have any benefit in investing in a further racialized society. But for that to happen, we need to understand that our biases are reinforced by the social, economic, political, religious, all those norms that are around us. And until those norms decenter, not white people, whiteness, the system of power, of cultural power and dominance, until those biases are decentered through that dismantling, we're not going to get into an unracialized society.
Ernst?
Well, I think if it's your belief that it's not possible to be successful or wealthy without having oppressed someone, or it's not possible to be poor without having been robbed, then you do suffer from an ideology of entitlement, and that's what we need to break. We need to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We need to start taking responsibility for the failures in the education system. We need to start freeing up the labour market so that people can start businesses. Those are the solutions that we should be working on, and as a result, racism, the consequence thereof would be that there would be less friction in the country.
Last word to you, Tessa.
If we're going to talk about taking responsibility, maybe one of the first conversations that we need to have is about white people taking responsibility for the roles that they play in entrenching the systems that keep black people oppressed.
Yes.
If we're going to talk about being conciliatory on our points, let me agree with Gabriel on something. This might make you smile, Iman, because you haven't smiled all day.
No, I'm quite merciful. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
But the idea that it's going to require systematic change and all of that is exactly true, because it's about the way in which we structure society, norms and values, and that is what needs to change. But norms and values don't change with you sitting in your house and pondering your mind. It changes through the ways in which you structure society. And that's why apartheid was effective. Because apartheid created systems that told people where to live, told people where to go, and told people what to do. White people don't want to be told what to do today in order to reverse things. And until they're willing to participate in that way, we won't go anywhere. Can I make a last?
We can't, because I'm literally out of time. I just want to get a quick, you say you have these engagement meetings and so on. Can you take these guys with you to one of your meetings that you have with your constituencies? Sure. All right. Our words and actions are like IEDs. They explode and they hurt. They bring up old pains. And we have to go back to the genesis of that pain. Racism is oxygenated by a resistance to seeing injustice and addressing it. We can go back to our own lagers of belief, or we can continue to talk, to learn, to understand, and possibly, just maybe, reach out a hand that doesn't flinch against that of a stranger, a different color. Haven't we seen enough pain and misery to not want that for the generations to come and for ourselves? Thank you for watching.